31 Days of Halloween. This is a gaming central edition of it. And today I wanted to talk about another underrated horror gem. I know eventually folks we have a couple of weeks here in October, so I will get to the heavy hitters. I will be talking about Resident Evil, I will be talking about Silent Hill and Fatal Frame, which are my big 3 of all survival horror games, but I want to show love and give spotlight to games that you probably overlooked or games that you haven't even heard of or played. In today's game, I want to talk about Song of Horror. Song of Horror is a survival horror game and it was developed by a Spanish studio, Protocol Games, and it was published by Riser Games. And the project began in October 2014 as the passion project for its two co-founders who admitted that they were newcomers to the industry and they had zero knowledge of game development. And after two failed Kickstarter campaigns in 2015 and a troubled publishing deal with Badland Indie, the team persevered and eventually partnered with Riser Games. And the game launched episodically on a PC, with episode 1 releasing on October 31st, 2019, and the final episode arriving on May 28th, 2020. A full console release followed on May 28th, 2021 for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And despite its rocky road, Protocol Games, I feel, delivered a successful modern day horror experience. So let's talk a little bit about the story, because the narrative begins with the mysterious disappearance of a celebrated writer, Sebastian P. Husher, and players are guided by a roster of different characters, relatives, friends, associates, hell, even strangers, are into the cursed locations that is tied to Husher's life. Each chapter unravels more of the dark secrets behind the antagonist known as the Presence. This is just like a malevolent supernatural force that reacts really to your behavior. And the story unfolds across multiple settings. You have an abandoned mansion, you have this eerie and antique shop, a decaying abbey, and then you have a mental hospital, which I think was probably one of the scariest ones. And the environments are, and what really makes this work is the environments. It is atmospheric. It does a good job of blending gothic horror with this creepy psychological uneasiness. And through diaries, notes, and just some really subtle environmental details, the narrative grows and there's more fragmented and ominous pieces to the puzzle when it comes to what the presence is. And the great thing about it is that the characters in here also have some really good characterization. You get a little bit of backstory on some of them, but not everybody is like really fleshed out. We should probably be like one of the major, probably disappointing parts of the actual story. But for the most part, I think it does a really good job of really establishing this particular world. Now, you're probably wondering, how does the game play? And one thing that I really loved is the selling point is that it has a permadeath system. And I think all horror games, if you have multiple characters, need a permadeath system. So for those who are not familiar, who might not be gamers or familiar with gaming that are watching this on Imaginative Visions, permadeath means that once your character dies, you can't use them anymore through that particular playthrough. And the game features 13 playable characters, each with their own perspective and ties to the story. If a character dies, like I just said, they're gone for good. And another one must take their place. The mechanic amplifies tension. Every mistake carries lasting consequences. The gameplay emphasizes on exploration, puzzles, and survival instincts rather than combat. There are no weapons. Players must rely on observation, stealth, and quick time survival sequences to endure encounters with the presence. Listening at doors, hiding in closets, or completing panic minigames are vital to staying alive. And in 2020, the developers added an optional ETA Hoffman difficulty mode that removes permadeath for players who prefer a less punishing experience. But be honest with you, the permadeath is the selling point of this game, and it is the experience that I highly recommend you play. Now, as far as the graphics and presentation goes, visually the game embraces the classic fixed camera angles reminiscent of Resident Evil and Alone in the Dark, While not on a triple A type of level, but the art direction is gorgeous, especially the first level with the mansion. And it's deliberately oppressive, and there's dusty corridors, candlelit chambers, and warped environments evoke this constant sense of dread. And the camera work itself becomes part of the horror, obscuring what lies beyond and heightening the tension. And as far as the music and sound design goes, sound is the beating heart of Song of Horror. If you can play this on PC with headphones, hell, if you have your PlayStation 4, if there's a way you can play with your headphones on, I will highly recommend you do that because from the frank creak of the floor to whispers that slither through the environment, the audio design builds that paranoia at every turn. The music, when it swells, it's sharp and unnerving, hits you like a knife. And at other times, silence dominates, forcing players to lean into every ambient noise because the presence adapts to the player's actions. Audio cues are often the only warning of immediate danger. That's why when you're playing, it's very important to put your ear to that door because if you hear something behind that door, that might be the presence. And if you open that door, your character that you chose is gone for good. And why is this scary? Why am I talking about this in 2025? Fear of this game is great. I love the fear in this. Song of Horror comes from its unpredictability. The presence is an AI driven antagonist, meaning scares are not strictly scripted. A door may suddenly slam, the lights may flicker, or a hiding spot may betray you. Combined with the knowledge that death is permanent, every encounter feels consequential. This unpredictability, coupled with an absence of combat, forces players into this unique, vulnerable state, one where survival depends on fear management and quick thinking and not firepower. And not to mention, this also has some replayability. One of the game's hidden strength because characters can die. Each play offers different survivors, perspectives, and dialogue. So the presence adaptive behavior ensures the hauntings rarely repeat the same way twice. And combined with the variety of just the branching character outcomes, Song of Horror does encourage multiple playthroughs. So to wrap this up, my friends, Song of Horror stands as a rare modern day take on horror, and it has the elements of classic survival horror with modern day twists and turns with it. I highly recommend this if you haven't got a chance to play it. If you have a PlayStation 4, if you have PC, if you still have your Xbox One, I would buy it from the game store and check it out. It's really good pick for the holidays for the Halloween season. Holiday season. Well, Halloween might be holiday for some people, but it's a really good pick for the Halloween season. So I will highly recommend you check this out. This is Justin from 31 Days of Halloween Gaming Central. What did you think of Song of Horrors? If you ever played it, comment below. Let me know. If you like what we do here, hopefully you earned your subscription. So please hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Later days.